Brian Moran, founder of Government CIO. Welcome to Government CIO Magazine.
Hi, this is Hillary Wax with Government CIO Magazine. Today our interview will feature KiritCommerce, the Deputy Chief Information Officer at the Department of Commerce.
Shared services is probably the way the federal government has to go now. And Commerce is playing a big role right now. Not the fact that OMB is mandating some of that stuff, but I think it's the right thing to do. If you look at it, we have got several shared service mandates right now that we are pursuing at Commerce. We have a big one, which is web hosting. So we are going a department-wide web hosting, which is now more or less ready to go. It's going to be as a service. We're going to go on a cloud model for department-wide web hosting. The other one we are looking at is for service desk consolidation. If I start calculating just in this building as to how many service desks we have, I'm not even going to get a right number. Okay, so one of the mandates that our former secretary, acting secretary, Dr. Blank had was she wants to see these kind of services to be consolidated into a single contract and operate as one. So that is underway as well. Okay, the other shared services and initiatives we are looking at very closely right now are something like all called the data center consolidation. This building right now, I would very happy to announce, is we are more or less 80% consolidated in terms of the data center. There is a little bit remaining, but that's all going to come to within the year. We'll be more or less 100% within the building. We are also working with some of our larger bureaus, which are outside of this building, and they are doing their own consolidation, and we are collectively looking at saying, okay, how do we go to the next level to see if we could achieve more consolidation? And that was one of the OMB mandates as well. And then OMB came on the data centers to say, okay, that's nice and dandy. What they want to see is core versus non-core data centers. And they want to see more of the non-core data centers basically either disappearing or being consolidated. Core data centers, they understand it's because of your mission. So that's one. The other one we are looking at, when you consolidate data centers, then we are looking at virtualization. In other words, so from the server standpoint, virtualization. But bigger than that now, we are looking at what we call VDI, virtual desktop infrastructure. In other words, right now, as you all know, we have these desktops, monsters at each of the locations, which takes a lots of effort to maintain and support. We are going what we call the virtualized desktop. In other words, if you've heard of the zero or thin client, okay, and take it in a virtualized format, whereby we would have more robust security, the costs would go down, and we are looking at a web or a cloud hosted solution to VDI. So what we are taking that is in a phased format. We are taking and looking at first the Office of the Secretary that we support, is the first initiative we are looking at right now, and we are being supported from our executive suite on that very strongly. And they want us to look at then, it's a phased approach to say, okay, do the Office of the Secretary, then look at this building, all the bureaus in the building, and then also look at, so we are talking to the respective bureaus as well to try and bring them into that collective solution so that the overall cost will drop as a result of larger volumes that we handle. So there is a bunch of initiatives like that we are looking at from a shared services standpoint, and we are getting a lots of support from our executive suite. Bingo. That's again like we could segue from shared services into the cloud services, right? The department has just awarded a contract, for example, to go cloud email department-wide. We have each bureau, we have several, within a bureau we might have several different emails right now. So we have awarded the contract. It was spearheaded by one of our bureaus, National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST, and that's a department-wide contract. So we have awarded the contract. We are now moving in that direction right now. For the Office of the Secretary, we will be in the cloud email. We have awarded that to Microsoft 365. We have our plans by end of this calendar year. Office of the Secretary will be on the cloud email. And then we are working with the other bureaus as well to make that happen. So I think it looks like we also have a fiscal year 14 passback language to OMB, where we have committed that the department will be cloud email by end of fiscal year 14. So by September of next year, hopefully we will be department-wide. That's the goal. So we'll see how it goes. But it is, I think everybody's excited about it. The costs drop, so even the bureaus are saying, because we are in these budgetary constraints, obviously, so that everybody says, hey, if I can do something and save some money and be able to do my mission side, then so be it. And there are other aspects on the cloud that we are pushing as well. As I just said, the VDI. We are looking at the cloud solution as a department solution. Web hosting, we are looking more and more all over commoditized and the infrastructure offerings more as a service, which is the cloud solutions. And I think that's the future. Overall, we're going to see that's what will happen 3 to 5 years from now. We're going to look at it's like the utility. I buy electricity, guess what? They provide me electricity, whatever I use, end of the month, they bill me, I pay. And that's the model, really, in the IT world, at least in the shared and the commodity service. OMB came out with the first portfolio stat version early last year in 2012. First I looked at it, having been in the federal IT world for 35 plus years, kind of skeptical. Well, does OMB just want to check off, or does it? For the first time, I felt excited because I thought there was some meat to this, what OMB was trying to do. So the first version asked for, like you said, some shared services, you're going to do X, Y, Z, right? Then they came earlier this year with Portfolio Stat 2013, and that really took it a notch up. What they said is that, okay, Portfolio Stat 2013, we want 3 parts to it. We want a strategic plan from the department for 5 years. We want your enterprise architecture roadmap that aligns with your strategic plan. And the third segment was what they call IDC, the integrated data collection, where they started looking at how many mobile devices you have, how many contracts do you have across the department, and everybody starts looking and saying, whoa. So that was an inventory kind of a deal. So we submitted our Portfolio Stat 2013 with the strategic plan and the enterprise architecture roadmap in May, I think, was the due date. I think it was May. We did submit it. And following that, they were then going to, OMB was going to review our submittals and then come and have a session with each of the departments at the federal CIO, Van Rokel level. But they said the department, they're not going to hold the CIO responsible. They're going to say, no, it's going at the deputy secretary level. They are going to hold the deputy secretary responsible because they realize that the CIO has so much authority across the federated nature that commerce is. So they had the session. We had the session late last month, and it went very well. OMB scored us, and on a scale of 1 to 5, I'm proud to say commerce scored pretty high. I think we were in the 3.8, 3.9 level. So OMB was glad to see that. We had the session with the Deputy Secretary and OMB, and it went very well. Now there is some follow-ups to do that. So I think Portfolio Stat is, OMB is now making departments an authority from the Deputy Secretary to say, hey, as a department, you're going to do certain things. So I think they're putting that responsibility all the way to the Deputy Secretary, who in turn is saying, CIO, I am delegating the authority to you across the department to make some of these things happen. So I think Portfolio Stat in the long run, I think, is going to be very beneficial. when people talk innovation, that's a good question. What is innovation? I want to ask a question. What is innovation? Innovation, there is difference between innovation and invention. People sometimes don't see that difference, right? Innovation is that you take, and I look at it as a three-legged stool to get innovation. It's people, processes, and technology, being in the technology world, right? Of the three legs, technology is the easiest one. Is the people and processes. How do you say, hey, what is and how are we going to operate IT services within the Department of Commerce, and what is it going to look like 3 years from now? Okay? So innovation is today bringing those people, processes, and technology together to say, we are going to think differently. We're going to deliver services differently so that they are better, faster, cheaper. We in the IT world, we are not the people who run the missions. We don't. Our bureaus, and they run the missions. We are enablers. IT enables to deliver your mission better, faster, cheaper, right? So our part of innovation is bringing those three together and say, the federated nature under which commerce operates or has been operating to date has to change in terms of how we deliver going forward together collectively. Collectively, Department of Commerce is very powerful. Okay, keep us separate, and all of a sudden we are not as powerful. Okay, the sum together is more than one. So we are now moving in that direction, and portfolio state and other things is enabling. I think the deputy secretary level saying, hey, we are going to play together. So that is really, the innovation is now, like you said, the cloud services. How are we going to go and do this, consolidate? That's really how we are moving forward. So I think there is lots of traction. There is another side of this, which is really the security. Okay, we are looking at now department-wide what they call the CAP goals is what OMB and the White House Security Office is requiring, because the biggest threat is cyber right now, the IT world. So we are looking at what we call continuous monitoring. Also looking at the HSPD 12, okay, and the PIV, which is making our cards be able to be the authenticating, right? So that's the authentication nature. And then the continuous monitoring that we across every end device, the desktop servers are being monitored continuously to make sure the right security patches are there, everything is there. And then the third part of the security, and we are doing that right now in the building, is what we call the trusted internet connection. Okay, so that's another thing that we are looking at very closely right now, because that's our gateway to the outside world, in and out. We got to guard that very closely. And the other thing we are saying is, okay, so we're going to do all this cybersecurity, which is trying to protect us from the outside threats. Guess what? We do have some significant threats inside. And lots of them are not done on purpose. They are done because you didn't even know you did it. So recently we did what we call a phishing exercise. Guess what? Lots of our people jumped on it. Says, okay, no. Because again, you are opening a door. Because you did something via your email, or by sending something, or from your personal email into our email, or vice versa. So we have, and our privacy office is on our case right now, to implement certain tools that to make sure no personal data goes in or comes in. We kind of sequester that. We quarantine. If we see something like, we don't stop it, we just quarantine. It's not going out. And then alert the sender to say, do you know what you were doing, right? It's not going anyway. So lots of these things from a security standpoint as well is going on. I think are what I call the low-hanging fruit, which are really very quick wins in terms of providing you a robust service at a cheaper rate and saving money. And how do we go doing that? I think so the IT really, as I said, is an enabler. And how do we, and the innovation, or the describe innovation, how do we go about right now, like I said, delivering those very services cheaper, better, faster? Well, I think from an achievements end, or like I said, we have got significant initiatives right now, at least half a dozen that are underway, which really within the next year, 15 months are going to pay dividends. Again, in terms of the robust services in a secure way and at a cheaper cost. From a technology standpoint, having been in the federal IT world from private sector as well as in the government now for 38 some years, I feel from a technology standpoint, we are sitting at the most exciting times, personally. And the exciting times are because there's so much from a technology available. It's a question of which ones do we pick and how do we do it at the most efficient way, that the world will change in terms of how federal government operates in the next 2 to 3 years. It's very, very fast. It's evolving very, very rapidly. And I think it's going to be very exciting to see as to 3 years from now. I mean, I have some visions of that and say, boy, it will be a different world in terms of how we're going to be operating and delivering these services to our constituents.